My beloved brothers and sisters, today I want to remind myself and yourselves of a reality we all know, but we sometimes forget. Life will never always be easy. There will be days when your body is tired, your heart is heavy, your mind is clouded, and the path ahead looks dark. But even then, you must force yourself to get it done. Discipline is a gift. It's not always pleasant in the beginning, but it builds you, shapes you, and leads you to where you need to be. When you want to sleep, but it's time for prayer, force yourself to get up. When you feel lazy, but your responsibilities are waiting, get moving. Push yourself, not because it's easy, but because it's right. No one ever became successful without effort. Even the prophets, the most beloved of Allah, had to struggle. They cried, they bled, they were mocked, they were pushed to limits we cannot imagine, but they never gave up. Why? Because they knew the reward is with Allah. They knew that temporary discomfort leads to eternal peace. You want to build a better life? Force yourself to wake up early. Force yourself to break bad habits. Force yourself to be kind even when you're angry. Force yourself to read, to learn, to grow. And most importantly, force yourself to turn to Allah in every moment. Whether it's ease or hardship, the nafs will whisper later. Shaitan will say, it's too hard. But remind yourself, the more you resist those voices, the stronger you become. You're not weak, you're not incapable, you have potential, you have purpose, and Allah knows it. But that change won't come until you move. We always want motivation to come first. But what if I told you, action brings motivation? Once you start, even a small step, it builds momentum. And then what seemed impossible becomes part of your daily routine. But it begins with you saying, I will not sit here, I will not make excuses. I will force myself to get it done. My brothers and sisters, we live in a world full of distractions. We're pulled left and right. But don't let the world drown your goals. Don't let comfort steal your future. The one who puts in the work today will be grateful tomorrow. So push yourself, even if no one sees it, even if no one claps for you, even if it's just between you and Allah. Know that He sees your effort, and He never lets a single deed go to waste. Discipline over desire. This is a principle that separates those who live with purpose from those who drift through life. Our desires are endless. The nafs constantly pulls us toward comfort, toward ease, toward what feels good in the moment, even if it harms us in the long run. But discipline tells us, do what is right, even if it's hard. Do what is necessary, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is that internal strength that allows you to silence your whims and obey your Lord, fulfill your duties, and build your future. Every single day we are faced with choices: wake up for Fajr, or sleep in, scroll on your phone, or open the Quran with kindness, or let anger take over. These moments seem small, but they are battles. And if you constantly allow desire to win, your life will start to reflect that weakness. But when you force yourself to choose discipline, even when it burns, you start gaining control over your soul. You begin to grow. Desire whispers lies. You deserve a break. Just a few more minutes. You can do it tomorrow. Discipline doesn't shout. It speaks with calm certainty. You said you would, so get up and do it. No excuses. When you live by desire, you become a slave to your moods. When you live by discipline, you become the master of your actions. And it is discipline that brings you true freedom. Freedom from regret. Freedom from wasted time. Freedom from failure that could have been avoided. Allah has given us the ability to control us. That's why He holds us accountable. He didn't expect perfection, but He commanded us to strive, to fight our lower selves. Discipline is not just about productivity or success in this world. It is a form of jihad. The greatest struggle is against the self, and that's where discipline becomes an act of worship. When you force yourself to obey Allah, When you turn away from what you desire because you know it displeases Him, you are elevating your soul. Look at the prophets, the righteous, the scholars, the people we admire. They all lived lives of discipline. They didn't follow their nafs. They weren't ruled by emotions or temptations. They trained themselves. They endured long nights in prayer, long days in service, and constant sacrifice. That wasn't by accident. It was a result of discipline, the ability to push through discomfort for the sake of something greater. Desire brings comfort now and regret later. Discipline brings effort now and peace later. How many times have we chosen sleep over salah, only to feel guilt when we wake up? How many times have we chosen silence over speaking the truth, only to wish we were braver? How many times have we said, I'll start tomorrow, and yet tomorrow never comes? These are signs that desire is in control, and the only way to break that cycle is through discipline. Discipline requires intention, structure, and reminders. You don't become disciplined by accident. You make the conscious choice to create habits that align with your values. You start small, you stay consistent, you fall, but you don't stay down. You remind yourself daily, this is who I want to be. This is what Allah wants from me. And even when it's hard, even when you feel no motivation, you act, you push, you get up. That is true discipline. There will always be an easier option. Shaitan will make the wrong path look smooth and attractive. He will decorate laziness with comfort. But once you realize that real comfort lies in knowing you did the right thing, then you start seeking that you start chasing the feeling of completion, of knowing you overcame yourself. That is more rewarding than any momentary pleasure. Desire is loud, but short-lived. It shouts for attention, then disappears, leaving behind emptiness. Discipline is quiet but lasts. It speaks through action, and it builds a foundation that supports your goals, your faith, your dignity. When you build a life on discipline, you begin to trust yourself. You know that even when things get hard, you have the strength to keep going. That's not arrogant, that's tawakkul and effort combined. You rely on Allah, and you show Him you're serious through your actions. Discipline doesn't remove struggle, but it helps you face it with strength. Action brings motivation. Many people wait for the perfect moment to begin, when they feel inspired, when their mind is clear, when life feels easy. But that moment rarely comes. If you rely on feelings to get started, you will stay stuck. True growth begins when you act first, even when the motivation is nowhere to be found. When you take the first step, something changes inside you. You begin to feel alive, capable, and in control. That feeling, that sense of progress, is what fuels your motivation. But it only comes after action. We often say, I don't feel like doing it. Whether it's prayer, work, study, fitness, or even something as simple as cleaning your room, the lack of desire becomes an excuse. But the reality is, desire isn't a requirement for success. Discipline is, and action is the spark. You stand up, you move, you begin. Even if you're dragging yourself in the beginning, just doing the action starts creating the motivation you were waiting for. That's how the cycle works. You act, then you feel motivated, not the other way around. Shaitan wants you to wait. He wants you to sit still, thinking and overthinking. He will whisper, just one more hour, one more day, you'll feel ready tomorrow. But he knows that tomorrow will come with another excuse. The only way to break that trap is by doing the action. Open the Quran, even if you only read one verse. Start your task, even if you don't finish it. Stand for prayer, even if your heart feels heavy. These small acts will begin to soften the heart, clear the mind, and bring motivation naturally. Allah created us with the ability to move. He didn't say wait until your heart is ready to obey. He said establish the prayer. He said strive in His cause. He said race toward forgiveness. All of these are actions, and from action comes reward, change, and strength. The companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, were people of action. Even in the hardest times, even when they were outnumbered, tired or afraid, they moved forward, and because of that, Allah gave them motivation in their hearts, peace in their actions, and blessings in their effort. When you take action without waiting to feel motivated, you are telling yourself, I am not a slave to my emotions. You are training your body to obey your purpose, not your moods. That kind of strength doesn't come from talking or thinking about it. It comes from doing. And every time you do, even a little, you build that habit, you build that muscle. The more you act, the more motivation you'll feel next time. It grows with consistency. Sometimes you don't need to know the whole plan. You just need to take the first step. Write one sentence, do one push-up, make one sincere dua. You will see how quickly the mind begins to engage, how the heart begins to respond. The body follows the mind, and the mind follows movement. That's how Allah created us, and that's why action is so powerful. It resets the state of your soul. Motivation is not magic, it is the result of effort. Athletes, scholars, business owners, teachers, students, none of them were motivated all the time. What made them succeed was the habit of taking action, even when it felt uncomfortable. The moment you move, you separate yourself from your past version. The one who waited, hesitated, and delayed is gone. The one who acted is now in control, and that person becomes stronger with every decision to move forward. Sometimes you will fail, sometimes the action will feel empty, but it still counts, it still pushes you ahead. Don't underestimate the power of showing up. Even on your worst day, just doing the bare minimum keeps the momentum alive. That's better than starting from zero again. And the more you act, the more you understand this principle. Feelings are followers. They come after you move. So don't wait for motivation. Let action lead the way. Resist excuses. Embrace effort. Every one of us has moments where the mind starts building reasons to delay, to avoid, to quit. I'm too tired. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm not ready. Others have it easier than me. These thoughts come like waves, and if you listen to them, they will drown your potential. Excuses are comfortable. They make you feel safe. They justify inaction, but they also steal from you. They steal your time, your progress, your chance. The truth is, if you want to grow, you have to learn to recognize excuses and challenge them with effort. Effort doesn't always feel good in the moment. Sometimes it feels heavy, dry, or even pointless. But that's the test. That's the struggle. When you choose effort over excuses, you're telling yourself that your goals matter more than your comfort. You're choosing your future over your feelings. You're proving to yourself that you are capable of pushing past what holds most people back. Excuses are easy. Effort is hard. But effort is what brings results, change, and barakah in your life. Everyone can find a reason not to act. It's raining today. I didn't sleep well. I have a headache. I'm too busy. These are common familiar lines. Shaitan feeds them to us because he knows they work. He knows that if he can keep you in a cycle of reasoning and waiting, he doesn't need to make you do wrong. He just needs to make you do nothing. But when you make the decision to put in the effort, regardless of your excuse, you are taking back your power. There is a deep satisfaction that comes from doing what you didn't feel like doing. You drag yourself to prayer even though your body feels weak, and afterwards, there is peace. You sit and study even when your mind is scattered, and later you feel accomplished. These victories are quiet, but they are powerful. They build confidence. They remind you that effort is never wasted. Allah sees every step you take, even if the world doesn't. Think of the most successful people you know or admire. Think of those who are strong in their faith, disciplined in their actions, firm in their character. They didn't get there by making excuses. They faced the same obstacles as you, but they chose effort again and again. They trained their minds not to argue with the world. When it was time to move, they moved. When it was time to give, they gave. That's how excellence is built. on the foundation of effort. There's a beautiful principle in Islam. Allah doesn't expect perfection. He expects sincerity and effort. If you try, if you push yourself even with weakness and struggle, Allah rewards you. He multiplies your reward based on your intention and your sacrifice. But if you sit back, making excuse after excuse, even with the best reasoning in the world, you're missing. Because effort is a form of ibadah. It is striving in the path of Allah even when no one sees it but Him. Sometimes we wait for the conditions to be perfect. When I have more time, then I'll start memorizing Quran. When my life is calmer, then I'll get closer to Allah. But perfect conditions are an illusion. There will always be something going on. There will always be stress, distractions, discomfort. If you can't learn to put in effort during difficulty, you'll never learn to be consistent. Effort in hardship has more value than effort in excuses create delay. Delay becomes habit, and habit shapes your life. If you train your mind to always justify inaction, you'll live in a cycle of regret. But if you train yourself to respond with action, even when it's messy and imperfect, you'll grow in ways you never imagined. It begins with a choice. You hear the excuse in your head, but you don't listen. You choose movement, not delay. You choose effort, not retreat. You focus on what needs to be done, not what's holding you back. Effort doesn't need to be massive. Sometimes it's a 5-minute task, a short prayer, a small step forward. But the willingness to act, to resist the easy way out, is what defines character. It's what makes someone reliable, dependable, strong in their deen and in their life. And once you start valuing effort over excuses, you'll notice something shift. You'll start finding strength in places you didn't know you had. You'll stop negotiating with your responsibilities. You'll move with purpose. Allah sees every struggle. This truth alone should be enough to give peace to the heart of every believer. In a world where people often overlook your effort, where your hard work might go unnoticed, where your silent battles are hidden behind smiles, it is Allah who sees it all. He sees when you're tired, but still getting up for Fajr. He sees when your heart is breaking, but you still choose patience. He sees when you want to give up, but you keep going because you know He is watching. That awareness, that closeness, is a comfort like no other. Sometimes we look for recognition from people. We want someone to say, "I see you trying, I'm proud of you." But when that doesn't come, it can feel like your effort is meaningless. But with Allah, nothing is meaningless. Not a single tear, not a single breath held in patience, not a single dua whispered in the darkness of night goes unseen. Every step you take toward Him is recorded. Every act of obedience, no matter how small, is acknowledged. Even the intention you had in your heart but couldn't carry out due to circumstances, He knows. This world may not reward you fairly. You may work harder than everyone else and still feel behind. You may fight personal battles that no one knows about and feel drained. But Allah knows. He knows what you're holding inside. He knows the strength it took for you to stay calm, to forgive, to stay silent, to walk away, to stand firm. He knows the struggle it took for you to lower your gaze, to avoid sin, to keep your heart clean when it wanted to be bitter. This kind of struggle is not small. It's not forgotten. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told us that even a thorn that pricks a believer is written as a reward. Imagine then the weight of your sleepless nights, your aching heart, your quiet efforts to become better. All of it is with Allah. He is Ash-Shakur, the most appreciative. He not only sees your struggle, He multiplies the reward for it. You may think your progress is too slow, your faults are too many, your steps too small, but with Allah, sincere effort is never wasted. You may feel like you're fighting alone, in your home, in your mind, in your daily routine. It might seem like no one understands what you carry, but the one who created you understands perfectly. He knows your weaknesses,
and still loves you. He sees your slip-ups and still invites you to return. He witnesses your sincere repentance and opens doors you never imagined. Allah is closer to you than anyone else could be, and when you struggle for His sake, you're not just being tested, you're being elevated. Every believer has their own unseen battles. For some it's an addiction, for others it's a deep sadness, for some it's anger, ego, pride, laziness, or doubts. And these struggles are not signs of failure, they are opportunities, because when you fight against your lower self for the sake of Allah, you are engaged in one of the greatest forms of worship. Even if you fall, the struggle to rise again is witnessed by the most merciful. He sees your pain and rewards your perseverance. There are times when the struggle feels never-ending, the goal feels far, the load feels too heavy. But in those moments, remember that Allah sees effort, not just results. He sees the heart that is trying. He sees the intentions behind your action. He sees that you want to improve, that you want to please Him, even when you feel stuck. That's what matters most to Him. The sincerity in your heart is more powerful than the outward success people. When no one claps for you, when no one notices the good you did, when you feel invisible in your struggle, know that Allah is Al-Basir, the all-seeing. You don't need the approval of the world when you have the attention of the Lord of the worlds. You don't need applause when you have His mercy. You don't need to prove yourself to people when He already knows the truth of your heart. This is what brings true peace, knowing that you are seen, understood and loved by the one who matters.